Have you ever stopped to think about how really big changes, the kind that, lift millions of people up, often start small, maybe in places you wouldn't expect, with actions that seem simple? It's like a hidden revolution, unfolding quietly. Well, today, we're doing a deep dive into something truly remarkable happening in Gujarat, India. It's a story about milk, money, and massive empowerment. It really shows how a traditional sector can become this beacon of progress. Our mission for you today, to unpack how a specific cooperative model focused just on dairy hasn't just boosted a whole state's economy, but has fundamentally changed the lives of millions of women, putting them right in the driver's seat. And just to give you a sense of the scale here, get this, Zach. We found that women in this model are contributing to an income that's already shot past our 9,000 crore in 2025. That's over 1.1 billion US dollars. It's a staggering number, and honestly, it's only part of the story.
It really is. And what's so fascinating, I think, is that this isn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet, economic metrics. It's about a deep societal shift. It's happening like one dairy farm, one village collection point at a time. The scale is huge, and it really shows how these grassroots efforts, if you nurture them right, can just ripple outwards with incredible force. We'll explore how this cooperative framework became such a powerhouse for empowerment, sort of breaking down old barriers and writing a new script for rural women.
So how does something seemingly simple like a milk cooperative do something so big? To really get it, we need to rewind a bit. Go back to the 1940s. India was facing really significant milk shortages then. It's hard to picture now, right, given India is the world's biggest milk producer today. But back then, finding clean, affordable milk was a real struggle, and farmers often exploited.
Yeah, definitely exploited by middlemen. And this transformation, it wasn't an overnight thing at all. It was sparked by some real visionaries. One name you often hear is Verghese Kurian. People call him the father of the White Revolution. He ended up in Anand, Gujarat in the late 40s. He was actually initially a bit reluctant to be there working on dairy engineering.
Right, he wasn't too keen on the rural posting at first.
Exactly. But a local leader, Tribhuvandas K. Patel, convinced him to stay and help set up a dairy cooperative. Patel was already getting farmers together. They were fed up with the private dairies, the low prices, the unreliability.
Okay, so that frustration was the starting point.
Precisely. And out of that, in 1946, the Kaira District Cooperative Milk Producers Union was born, which most people now know as Amul, right? That iconic brand. And this wasn't just, another company. It was revolutionary. The farmers owned the dairy. They shared the profits. And this three-tiered structure, village societies, district unions, state federation.
That structure sounds key. Democratic, almost?
Completely. It meant control from collecting the milk to processing it to selling it, stayed with the producers. It cut out the middlemen, guaranteed fair prices, often paid twice a day, which was huge for cash flow. That democratic ownership was, well, pretty radical back then.
And that success in Anand, it wasn't just a one-off thing, it became a model.
Oh, absolutely. Amul's success was the blueprint. It directly led to setting up the National Dairy Development Board, the NDDB, in 1965. And Kurian was put in charge. That then paved the way for Operation Flood, starting in 1970, which basically rolled out this cooperative model across India.
Turning India into a milk powerhouse.
Exactly. From milk deficient to the world's largest producer, it changed everything. Nutrition, rural incomes. But what's really crucial to track is how women's roles started changing. Initially, it was mostly men in the formal cooperative structures, even though women did, and still do, a huge amount of the actual work caring for the cows, the milking.
Right, the visible labor.
Precisely. But then things started to shift. You see initiatives like the NDDB's Women's Dairy Cooperative Leadership Program, the WBCLP, that launched around 1995 in places like Valsad. These programs were vital. They didn't just recognize women's work, they actively trained them for leadership roles within the cooperatives. Financial literacy, management, animal care.
Giving them the tools to step up.
Exactly, laying the groundwork for the kind of empowerment we're seeing today.
Okay, so fast forward to now, 2025. What does that groundwork look like on the ground? The numbers are, frankly, incredible. Across Gujarat, there are 3.6 million dairy members. 36 lakh. And get this, 1.2 million of them, 12 lakh, are women. That's a full 32%.
A third of the membership. That's significant.
Hugely significant. And it's not just membership, it's leadership, too. Women now hold a quarter, 25% of the director spots on the dairy union boards. That's 82 women directors this year. And down to the village level in the management committees, their participation is up 14% just in the last 5 years, from around 70,000 to 80,000 women.
Wow. So real growth in decision-making roles.
Definitely.
And these aren't just stats. Think about someone like Mittal Patel from Kavitha Village. She started with just one cow back in 2012, just one. Today, she runs a proper dairy business, multiple animals. Her story just shows the kind of financial independence, the social standing. It's real change.
And that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? What does this mean beyond the money? We mentioned training, but these cooperatives also provide access to credit, which is crucial. Loans designed for rural women. And maybe most importantly, they give women a respected platform, a place to speak up, to have their opinions heard, and actually influence decisions.
The voice they might not have had otherwise.
Exactly. And it builds community, too. These milk collection points, the society meetings, they become social hubs. Women share knowledge, support each other. In rural areas where isolation can be an issue, that sisterhood, that collective strength is incredibly powerful. It underpins everything.
That sense of community really comes through. Okay, let's talk about the economic power here. Yeah. Because it is immense. The annual income from these women-led dairy societies, it's jumped 43% recently, crossing that Rs 9,000 crore mark we talked about. That's a Rs 2,700 crore increase, about $325 million just since 2020.
That growth rate is phenomenal. And daily.
Daily, they're bringing in Rs 25 crore. That's over $3 million a day, up from 17 crore a day in 2020. And the milk volume, up 39%. They're collecting 5.7 million liters daily now, up from 4.1 million.
5.7 million liters a day. Just try to visualize that. It's enormous.
It really is. And how does that fit into the state's overall picture?
Well, get this. These women-led co-ops contribute 26%, over a quarter of Gujarat's total milk procurement. Think about that impact on the state's GDP, on jobs. And it gives women a much stronger voice when it comes to policy.
It's not just contained within the co-op.
Not at all. It ripples out. You hear organizations like Dudhsagar Dairy saying, India's progress depends on women's empowerment. You even see big companies like Tata Motors partnering with these cooperatives, empowering women through dairy initiatives. And Union Minister Amit Shah recently pointed out Amul's huge success, noting that 36 lakh women in Gujarat, plus another 20 lakh elsewhere, are driving its massive, almost $10 billion turnover.
Which is set to grow even more.
Expected to cross Arsho 1 lakh crore, over $12 billion. It shows the national scale, powered by women at the grassroots.
So this deep dive, it really shows the impact goes way beyond just the economics, doesn't it? In rural Gujarat, where traditional gender roles can be quite set. These cooperatives are acting as these engines for social change. Women managing businesses, speaking up in meetings, contributing financially. It changes how they're seen at home in the community.
You see that respect grow. Their contributions are valued differently. It impacts everything: kids' education, healthcare access.
And it's inspiring other sectors too.
Definitely. This model, this blueprint, is being looked at for agriculture collectives, for handicrafts, microfinance. It's informing national schemes for women's self-help groups because it just works. It shows the power of collective action.
It sounds incredibly positive, almost utopian. But there must still be challenges, right? Things that need work.
Oh, for sure. It's inspiring. But let's be realistic. Access to technology is still a hurdle for many women. Think modern milking machines versus doing it by hand, better feed, veterinary care. These things aren't universally available yet. And the workload. Balancing dairy farming, which is demanding, with all the household responsibilities. It's immense.
The double burden.
Exactly. So there's a real need for ongoing training, support for women to take on those higher leadership roles, manage bigger operations effectively. We need to ensure they can thrive, not just participate.
So challenges remain. But looking ahead, what's the potential? Where could this go?
And despite the hurdles, the future looks really bright. With continued support from NDDB, the government, there's huge potential. Moving beyond just milk into value-added products, cheese, yogurt, maybe organic lines, possibly even tapping into international markets eventually. This Gujarat model could genuinely be a global template for empowerment, especially in other regions trying to build rural economies from the ground up.
So what we've really unpacked today is just this powerful story of collective action and the, frankly, incredible potential of women. These women in Gujarat, they haven't just changed their own lives. They've boosted their state's economy, reshaped their communities, all through cooperative dairy. As we look at that huge Rs 9,000 crore number, it's so clear this isn't just about milk. It's a story of hope, of resilience, and, the amazing power of community. So maybe the thought to leave you with is, what other traditional sectors, maybe even in your own area, could be transformed like this by empowering people who've been overlooked?
Yeah, that's the critical question, isn't it? How can we spot and support these kinds of grassroots movements elsewhere? The Gujarat dairy model isn't just a one-off success story, it really is a blueprint. How could those core ideas, ownership, working together, specifically supporting women, be applied in other areas to create similar, really deep changes? It's definitely something worth thinking more about.